I built this AI agent with zero coding skills. In the last 7 days, I sent just 6 proposals, 4 were viewed, 2 turned into interviews, and 1 already became a paying contract. And this is the tool behind it. It scans the Upwork feed and helps me to focus only on the jobs actually worth applying to. And when I open the job, agent breaks down the things like competition, client history, budget, and how well the role matches my background. Then it generates a tailored proposal using my actual experience and relevant proof. So instead of spending hours scrolling through Upwork and writing proposals manually, I can focus on the opportunities with the highest chance of converting. I've spent more than 10 years building and scaling digital products, SaaS companies, and go-to-market strategies, and this is my Upwork profile. I've earned over 100K here, completed more than 50 jobs, and maintained 100% job success score and top-rated status. And a strong profile really comes down to a few things: clear positioning in your title, a strong overview that immediately explains what you do and the results you've delivered, relevant skills, of course, and real social proof from completed projects. And then you reinforce that with a solid portfolio, strong work history and reviews, and finally your project catalog, where clients can buy clear packaged services without even posting a job. I always start with the best matches feed because Upwork usually surfaces the most relevant opportunities there based on my profile and previous work. I first look for the titles and descriptions that closely match what I actually do, then quickly check the client, payment verification, total spend, budget, and competition there. Depends on the amount of proposals that this position already received. If I don't find anything strong in best matches, only then I switch to keyword search and use terms like product strategy or AI product or go-to-market to find additional opportunities here. And once I open the job post, I'm basically looking at 4 things: fit, client quality, competition, and logistics. And here, the title almost exactly in my niche, product research and strategy. Then I read the scope, present your findings and recommendations directly to clients. I can do that, so for me it's not the problem. So kind of GTM recommendations, that's very close to the work I already do. So from a skills perspective, this is a strong match for me. Then I analyze my dear client in general, and when I'm going here, I see that payment and phone are verified, and it's great signal for me that this client, I can trust this client, alongside with the reviews and 100% higher rate. He only spent around $2,000 and the historical average hourly rate is just $580, so it's kind of red flag for me. But so I would want to understand their actual budget before investing too much time. And after that, seeing that he has 15 to 20 proposals, 3 people already interviewing, and 10 invitations sent. So I'm not early here, but the competition is still manageable if I have a much stronger feed and relevant samples. And finally, I check the deal breakers. So it's totally different time zone with me. He's on another side of the planet almost. And so kind of, if I can make the time zone work and the budget matches my rate, I would apply. If either of those doesn't work, I skip it, even if the project itself looks perfect for me. And once I decide I want to apply, I click Apply Now, and I scroll down to I choose as a freelancer or my agency. I'm going to check the hourly rate. How often do you want a rate increase? I always choose never. And I quickly review everything, make sure everything looks right, and I'm pasting my prepared cover letter with the help of my AI agent. I'm attaching my work samples that can be relevant for this position to show exactly these kind of jobs, and I click apply, send for 16 connects in this case. Now, this is where my own AI agent really changes the process. Look at the Upwork feed on the left. The first job Upwork shows me at the fractional growth and marketing advisor role. But my extension has already scanned all the visible jobs, scored them using a mathematical formula and criteria that I defined by myself, and reordered them by relevance to my profile. So instead of scrolling through dozens of jobs one by one, I immediately see that Product Manager K12 SaaS is currently my highest ranked opportunity with a score of 66. And the next most relevant opportunities are already sorted underneath that. And then I simply click that job, and the agent moves to the second level of analysis. Here I can see the overall score, and more importantly, why it received that score. It separately evaluates things like client rating, the client's historical average rate, how well this particular job pays, level of competition, how closely the job matches my niche, and the client's overall track record. For example, this role has a very strong niche fit, but weaker scores on competition. So within a few seconds, I have a much clearer picture of whether this opportunity is actually worth my time. And from the same panel, I can generate a tailored proposal by one click and then add the opportunity directly to my CRM in Google Sheets. That means every application is tracked. I can see how many proposals I sent, how many get viewed, how many turn into interviews and contracts, and then use that conversion data to continuously adjust my Upwork strategy rather than just guessing what works. And here is what the agent actually generated for this specific job. Notice that it doesn't start with, "Hi, my name is Victor, blah, blah, blah." The first 220 characters are the most valuable part of an Upwork proposal. So it immediately leads with the strongest proof for this role. My SPO certification, Advanced Certified Scrum Product Owner certification, the SaaS I scaled to over $1.9 million in annual recurring revenue, and a directly relevant PRD example with specific link. It also picks up language from the job itself. The client specifically says they need someone who can write specs developers. So it's exactly what they need to create here in definition of their proposal. So the hook speaks directly to that pain point, and then it connects their actual environment and support-driven backlog definition. So I connect that wording exactly to that terminology. And also the most important thing that I'm highlighting that I have background in educational technology, but I say at the same time that I have a tech background. And this is exactly what my potential client really wants to have. And that's basically the logic of that proposal. And of course, at the end, you need to send call to action to the client. If that's workable, I would enjoy a short call to talk through the role and where I would add value fastest. And that's, again, basically the logic I built into the agent. Find the strongest matching proof, attach the most relevant sample, mirror the client's real priorities, and never kind of invent experience just to make the proposal look stronger. Before writing any code, I started by giving Claude Code a full product brief. First, I provided the data and the context I needed for my Upwork positioning, profile, resume, previous projects, also a kind of proposal structure, and everything that I've done before, and the structure of my CRM as well. Then I documented kind of my current workflow, and I gave to him my recent projects that he can refer to, and also I defined what I actually do day by day. And also the next kind of major section defines my decision-making methodology: client rating, high rate, total spend, historical hourly rate, job budget, competition, and everything that I'm actually analyzing. And finally, I translated all of that into a clear product requirements at the end that I need to receive from him, the extension that scores jobs, generates tailored proposals and screening answers to my clients, and pushes applications into my CRM sheet. So before Claude touched the code, it already had the business context, workflow, rules, data sources, and expected output of the product. And the most important part is scoring engine. This is where I turned the way I personally evaluate Upwork jobs into kind of math logic inside. The code looks at things like client rating, historical rates, what this particular job pays, competition, niche fit, and the client's track record, and then applies different weights and modifiers. I also separated real deal breakers from softer preferences. For example, a hard location restriction can reject a job, and while a preferred qualification should only slightly reduce the score, so the number you see in the extension isn't generated randomly by AI, it comes from rules and priorities I explicitly defined. And the third part I want to show is how I actually improved the product after using it in real life. Once the first version was working, I noticed that Upwork has two different stages: the job model and the actual application page, and it's actually changed the behavior. And the job model and the actual application page, they're on different stages, and the extension was treating them almost like different jobs, and that caused the score to drop and good CRM data to get overwritten. And even payment fields to be mistaken for the screening questions. And I could documented exactly what I was seeing, and Claude Code inspected the relevant code path, identified the root causes, and proposed the fixes, and then implemented them with the regression tests. And kind of insane, but by the end, the same job keeps the same context and score across both pages. And CRM updates no longer destroy the existing data, and the whole flow is protected by 78 passing tests. It's kind of what exactly the Claude Code doing. It by themselves create tests that it passes, and it helps you to achieve your goals. And so this is less about writing code once and more about continuously testing the product against real behavior and tightening the system based on what actually breaks. And this brings the whole process full circle. I found the opportunity, evaluated it, applied using the system I built, and now I'm sending to my client that I found just a couple days ago the completed project, and I'm attaching the research that I already made, and I submit. And one thing I really try to do with every client is deliver a little more value than they expected. In this case, I didn't just answer the research questions. I delivered to him. I built a more rigorous methodology, source register, data structure, and framework that could actually scale across the larger project and future opportunities with this client. And that's exactly the approach I maintain on Upwork. It's part of my success, how I might maintain my 100% job success score on Upwork. So that's kind of the complete workflow, from finding the right opportunity to applying, automating the process with AI, of course, and finally delivering the work. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and give it a like. I'll be sharing much more about Upwork, AI automation, business, and building startups. And if there is a specific part of this process you want me to break down in more detail, leave it in the comments, and see you later.